Good morning and welcome to our Occupational Safety and Health Training for our dear employees. I'm your moderator for today, Irish Manson Ramasa, a nurse trainer and one of the nursing supervisors from Fatima University Medical Center, Valenzuela. For today, our webinar is a very important for all employees, for this entails everybody's concern. It is a safety and the well-being of every employees in our dear institution. Health is one of the most precious gifts to us of all, and it should be handled with great deal and importance. Thus, this webinar is ideal for us to listen to. To start our webinar, we would like to ask everyone in the loving presence of our Lord and have our opening prayer that will be followed by our national anthem.
Soul of Christ, sanctify
again, a warm welcome to everyone. Occupational safety in health training is one important thing to discuss. For this webinar is a way to learn to protect every working man against danger, injury, sickness, or death through safe and helpful working conditions. We would like to remind everyone for our webinar etiquette. You may turn on your camera as we love to see your charming faces, but please provide a conducive environment for everyone. Reminder, this is a formal webinar. Please mute your microphone as not to distract our dear speakers. You may raise your concerns and clarification in our chat box. We may ask your active participation and attentive listening. And as always, be respectful to our dear speaker and participants. To formally start our webinar, I would like to welcome our health officer, the chairman of Quality Assurance and Patient Safety Unit for both Fatima University Medical Center, Valenzuela, and Antipolo. I would love to give the floor to Dr. Alfredo Gigibara for his opening message.
Good morning, FEMC Valenzuela employees. Welcome to our mandatory occupational safety and health seminar, which is held yearly and sometimes quarterly. First of all, I want to thank the HRD headed by Ma'am Cynthia for organizing this seminar. And also I want to thank the speakers, Ma'am Shelley, Sir Gab, and Engineer Albar for their contribution. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this seminar. This year we had 2 occasions of fire in the wards, and good thing it was put out. But one of our staff in putting out the fire did not use the fire extinguisher, which was just available. So we cannot really master everything. So this is a reinforcement. That's why it's done yearly and sometimes quarterly. And so without much ado, I welcome you all, and I hope you have a fruitful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely message, Dr. Alfredo Guevara. And to further delve into this topic, we would like to introduce our first speaker. She is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology at Central Scholar University, currently taking up her Master's of Hospital Administration and a certified Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt. Let us all welcome none other than Ms. Shelly Talastas, our Assistant Hospital Administrator of Fatima University Medical Center, Valenzuela.
Good day, everyone. So today I'll be sharing with you the basic safety concepts, the unsafe and unhealthy acts and conditions. To start, our objectives at the end of the session, the participant should be able to explain the basic principles and practice of accident and disease prevention in the workplace. Also, to express commitment in preventing the occurrence and recurrence of accidents and diseases within their organization. So this is our work system, and the relationship involves sa ating workplace, no? So this is the people or us, the personnel, the employees. And then we also have another factor, the environment. The environment we're in, it involves the temperature, the lighting, the noise, the ventilation. So this is the more on the facilities, no? And then it also involves the materials, the uses, the handling of the materials. How do we handle our reagents, our syringes, okay? And then the storage of this materials, and it also involves yung pag-transport natin, and how do we transport the cold storage? Is it being followed? Also the chemicals involved. So those are the materials. And also kasama din dyan yung equipment. The equipment is the design of the equipment. Is it ergonomically well para sa ating employee or para sa tao? And then the maintenance of the equipment, and syempre the inspection. For people naman, this is more on the systems. trainings and the skills of the individual. And of course, yung motivation. Motivation is also important. How motivated are people to work? And then yung training, are they well trained? And then, of course, the systems involved or the processes. Now, in case that some of these factors in the relationship meron siyang na-deviate or na-violate or hindi natin nabantayan mabuti, those things may cause to an accident. And an accident means the task, there will be no more task. We cannot accomplish our task if there's an accident. So, having said so, the accidents, this is what do we usually believe or perceive. Sabi natin, accidents daw are unavoidable, hindi maiiwasan. We very, very rarely make mistakes. And we exceed company expectations and we never break the law. That's how we perceive, no? Accident yun, hindi maiwasan. It's the common. Pero what is really happening? Accidents can be avoided. We make many mistakes talagang nagkakamali. Our work performance can be better if we follow these laws or these policies and procedures. And then we don't follow the law. Or sometimes we break the law. So, yun talaga yung nangyayari. That's what really happens. So what is an accident? An accident is an occurrence or event that is unexpected, unforeseen, unplanned, and of course, unwanted. Hindi natin nakikita, hindi natin naplano, napaplanuhang mabuti, hindi natin ginusto, at hindi natin in-expect. That this event may interrupt or disrupt the normal and orderly progress of any activity, may cause physical harm, damage to property, and delay in operations. So, work accident naman. The work accident may cause, of course, personal injury, property damage, work stoppage, or interference. And then let's define also the hazard and risk. And what are the difference? Hazards, this is a source, situation, or act with a potential for harm in terms of human injury or ill health or a combination of two. This can be subdivided or subclassed to safety hazards and health hazards. So what is safety hazard? Safety hazard is something that has potential to cause injury. Say for example, a needle is a safety hazard kasi pwede siya mag-cause ng injury. What else? The CO2 tanks can also be a safety hazard kasi pwede siyang bumagsak and may injure somebody or a person. Now, what is a health hazard naman? Health hazard naman is something that potential to cause illness or disease. So, for example, our chemicals, the chemicals that we use in our workplace, these are health hazards, no? That, say, for example, when we inhale, kunyari formalin, when we inhale, it may cause illness or disease to the person. So, what are the risks naman? The risk is the chance, probability, or likelihood that a person will be harmed or ill if exposed to the hazard. So, for example, if our worker or our personnel na expose siya sa formalin, ano yung risk niya? How many yung probability na magkakaroon siya ng sakit once exposed siya dun sa potential health hazard na yun? Okay? So they say also that accidents are caused. They don't just happen. Okay? So ibig sabihin, yung aksidente, may dahilan yan. Hindi lang yan basta nangyari. So let's define also what are the types of accidents. So ito yung fall to below or nahulog ka, struck against motion, ibig sabihin, ikaw, the man is moving and then maaaring tumama sa non-moving na machine or object. Fall on the same level, ito yung same level lang, so pwede siya nadulas or nadapa. Caught in, so in running, could be in running or naipit. Okay? Caught on or being snubbed or nasabit ka naman. Nasabit. And then struck by. So this means yung tao, stationary siya, siya yung hindi gumagalaw, tapos tinamaan siya, siya yung tinamaan. Also, electrocution, chemical burns, overexertion, or strenuous movement. So, accident costs. Yung cost natin pag may aksidente nangyayari, it was defined as parang in an iceberg theory, no? So, there are direct costs and indirect costs. So, the direct cost, ito yung mga nakita natin. Yung directly kailangan natin i-address at nakikita agad talaga natin something tangible. So, example are the medical expense, of course, kung aksidente, kailangan din sa ospital, papagamot. The equipment damage, of course, we need to repair. And then wasted raw material kasi may nasayang, may natapon, may hindi nagamit. And then insurance premiums, of course, the payment of the insurance and litigation expenses. Pero meron din yung mga indirect costs. So what are indirect costs? Indirect costs, ito yung hindi natin agad nakikita, pero ang laki pala ng impact pag mayroong accident na nangyayari sa workplace. So, usually, ito yung injured worker mo. The injured worker or the injured personnel, of course, lesser productivity due to interruption on the day of injury, loss of efficiency, and loss of income. Another example is the other employee naman, yung co-worker niya, that the co-worker need to stop because he needs to assist the injured worker. And also, of course, kapag may accident, may inspection or investigation. That would be an additional cost due to completion of added work and, of course, replacement of the worker. Dahil na-mention ko nga yung replacement of worker, mayroon din yung hiring and training. We need to hire and train our personnel. Of course, there's also equipment downtime. Pag may equipment downtime, meron tayong production loss. So, ibig sabihin, hindi tayo makakapag-proceed ng procedures natin or hindi tayo makaka-work kasi meron tayong equipment downtime. So, what else? Of course, meron tayong replacement ng damaged or destroyed equipment. And then we need to order replacement ng parts, materials, and it will take time. Diba? Pagka nag-repair tayo, nag-order tayo ng parts of the equipment, meron siyang time. So that's a loss already. And then, ano pa? Possible that we need to rent temporary replacement of the machines. That's additional cost again. We need to pay also overtime wages for the yung mag-replace ng injured worker natin. So we need to pay overtime. Another absorb possible loss in sales. Yung sinabi ko sa inyo, because of the may equipment downtime tayo, that's a loss, no? Kasi wala tayong production. And then, investigation, yung pag-investigate ng accident, pag-complete ng written reports, pag-file ng workers' compensation or insurance claims, clean up area, and repair yung repair ng damaged work areas. Those are lost time, mga oras na nawala yon that could be used in production. So these are the accident costs. So more importantly, pag may accident talaga, mas malaki yung indirect costs compared to the direct cost. Okay, that's why we wanted to minimize accidents or eliminate accidents. So what are the causes ng accidents? So it is divided into two: unsafe act or practices and unsafe conditions. So let's start with unsafe act or practices. Ano ba to? Unsafe act or practices is a non-compliance or violation to commonly accepted safe procedures or processes. It's a human action that departs from the standard or written job, procedures of common practice, safety rules, regulations, or instructions. So you see, the processes and our policies are there to help us minimize or avoid these accidents. So kapag meron talagang nag-deviate sa process natin or sa policy natin, just because it's convenient sa atin, parang mas convenient sa atin na gawin to, na diskarte natin as compared to following the actual processes and procedures. If we do that, we're doing an unsafe act. Unsafe act yun. Kasi those processes are designed to help us, to keep us safe. And then, naaral na yun eh, yung mga policy na yun, and process na yun, naaral na yun, pinag-aralan na, kaya natin sinulat kasi proven na siya that it will eliminate the unsafe act. It will eliminate accidents. Okay, so I strongly encourage everyone to always and practice kung ano yung what is written in our procedures and processes. Kasi naaral na yun. Ginawa yun. It was designed for us to eliminate accidents. Okay? So, ano ba yung contributing factors kung bakit meron tayong mga non-compliance? So, usually improper attitude, physical limitations, or minsan lack of knowledge or skills. Kaya nga, we conduct trainings like this para ma-remind ang lahat at maturuan ng lahat kung ano yung mga tamang procedure at tamang kailangan gawin. Okay, minsan sa attitude naman, yun yung nasabi ko, minsan sa diskarte mo, mas okay, mas mabilis gawin, pero ask yourself also, yung discarding yun ba, is it safe? Will it eliminate accident? Okay, so these are the examples of unsafe act or practices. Operating equipment without authority, that's number one. Do not operate operate or use the equipment without the authority. Or kung sino yung authorized person lang na dapat mag-handle ng equipment. Ano pa, disregard SOP or instructions or not following the procedures and processes. So that's also an unsafe act. Improperly or non-use of PPE, it's also an unsafe act. Diba? That's why we use PPEs to protect ourselves. And then ano pa, removing safety devices or guards. So for example, yung CO2 tank natin, yung mga tanks natin, meron niyang safety guards, no, para hindi siya mag-fall, ma-eliminate siya. So, pag hindi natin siya binalik or nilagay sa tamang guard niya, di ba meron siyang parang pinaka-guard niya ang tawag doon. Pag di mo siya nilagay doon, may risk siya na bumagsak and then maka-injure, mag-cause ng accident. So, always follow yun. And then, paggamit ng defective equipment, of course, if using a defective equipment, we do not know the outcome, pwede maka-harm sa patient, maka-accident sa patient. So, kaya natin laging pini-preventive maintenance yung ating equipment. And then what else? Horseplay. Yung horseplay, there's always time for that, okay? But during work hours, if you're working, avoid horseplay. Kasi minsan nakaka-out ng focus yan. Mawala yung focus mo, and then minsan pwede kang mag-over or mag-exert ng kilos that might result to an accident. Okay? And then working under the influence of drugs and alcohol, of course, it's a no-no talaga. Kasi of course pagka may alcohol ka, medyo hilo-hilo ka, or tipsy, so it may cause accident not only to you but also to your co-workers. And then failure to warn or secure. Say for example, there's a wet floor. Failure to put a warning sign or secure the perimeter may cause an accident. Diba? Kasi yung dadaan doon, hindi niya alam na may basa doon, so pwede siyang madulas. Okay, those are an example of unsafe act or practices. Next is unsafe condition. So unsafe condition naman is a physical, mechanical, environmental condition which could have been guarded or prevented. The physical or chemical of a materials, machine, or the environment which could result in injury to a person, damage or destruction to property, or other forms of losses. It could have been guarded or prevented. So ito yung mga usually na isa example ng unsafe condition natin. Halimbawa ngayon yung COVID, di ba? Number one requirement dyan is the ventilation. So kung halimbawa you don't have enough ventilation, how can we make it a safe condition? By putting a HEPA filters or blast filters or air purifiers to make the environment safe. So that's an example of unsafe condition. Okay, so here are the other examples. Inadequate guards or protection. Again, kagaya ng CO2 tank. Kung wala siyang guard, kung wala siyang chain, you're putting it in unsafe condition. Overloading of circuits. So do not overload the circuits. It's unsafe condition. So what do? Of course, huwag tayo mag-overload. Diba? And then defective tools and equipment, congestion, yung na-mention ko kanina, pag sobrang dami, we put the HEPA filter. Inadequate warning systems, fire and explosion hazards, slippery floors, that's an unsafe condition, hazardous atmospheric condition, damage and exposed electrical wiring, excessive noise, radiation exposure, inadequate illumination and ventilation, substandard housekeeping. So for example, the excessive noise. Diba, meron tayong rooms that we put parang ano ba tawag doon? Ginawa natin siyang may anti-noise or something para si patient din, hindi sasakit yung tenga niya, hindi magiging health hazard sa kanya pag sobrang taas ng noise. Okay, what else? The radiation exposure. Our grad techs na may exposure sa radiation, they were given this jacket or lead jacket, and then the walls also, meron siyang, we complied to the thickness of the wall para the radiation will be minimized or hindi walang lalabas ng radiation outside the environment. Okay? We follow a certain standards. And then meron din silang parang may gadget sila that wherein that gadget measures how much radiation na na-expose yung tao. So these are control measures that we use para ma-minimize or ma-prevent yung unsafe condition. Okay, so this is an example of unsafe, no? Unsafe siya na environment. So this one, look at the box. Yung box hindi siya well nakapasok or nakapatong dun sa surface. So in short, pwede siyang bumagsak, pwede may mahulugan. This one, itong sa baba naman sa bottom, yung drawer, hindi siya na ibalik sa tamang posisyon, hindi siya na i-close yung drawer. So kung may taong dadaan, it could be a trip hazard. Pwede siyang matrip. Same with the wires. Itong wires na to. The exposed wires can also be a trip hazard. And then this one, yung wet floor, di ba? Can be also a trip hazard. Kaya important din yung good housekeeping and warning signs. But the question is, can accidents be prevented? Well, generally speaking, 98% of the accidents can be prevented. So it's preventable. 98% is preventable and 2% non-preventable. So out of the 98%, 88% doon coming from unsafe acts or practices. And then only 10% coming from the unsafe conditions. So you see the 88%, doon yan sa self natin. How do we follow our safety protocols and procedures? Do we follow or do we practice safety all the time? Not most of the time, but all the time. Okay? Do we check our areas? Do we check our areas, and then do we note if there are unsafe conditions that kailangan natin i-mitigate or kailangan natin gawa ng action? Okay, so you see how difference we can make sa accident if we will just follow our safety processes and procedures, and then if we are vigilant in checking our areas para sa mga unsafe conditions, para magawa na siya ng guards or controls. So this one, a safety hazard may result to an accident or injury. It's a direct contact. Okay, direct impact yan. And then naman, when it comes to health hazards, it may cause disease and illness once you were exposed. Okay, so exposure siya. So can a workplace hazard definitely lead to an accident or an illness? Remember, hazard plus exposure is equivalent to accident or illness. So if there's a hazard, na-expose ka sa hazard, may risk yun, it may result to accident or illness. Kaya dapat kung nakita kang hazard, you create, at may expose, you create a control measure para maiwasan yung accident or illness. Okay? So halimbawa, COVID is a hazard, may chance kang ma-expose. So what do? You wear your proper PPE and follow the safety protocol to prevent the illness. Another example is the needle stick. Diba? Yung mga needles natin. A needle is a hazard. So what do we do? And there's a chance that we are exposing ourselves to the needles. So what do? We use the proper technique we use the proper cupping technique to prevent needle stick accident. Or pwede din naman anong tawag nito, in some areas hindi na talaga nagre-remove ng needle sa syringe. They just shoot it right away dun sa ating sharps collector or sharps pin. Okay? So, yun. So, tandaan niyo lang, pag merong hazard at may chance may expose, we have to put a control measure to prevent accident or illness. So, for conclusion, both the human and the technical factors of accident causation should be addressed. So, yung sasabi ko kanina, kailangan natin i-address yun to prevent accidents and illnesses. So, what do we have to do? Number one, we must accept that we need to change. Okay, we need to change our mindsets. We have to change how and why we do change. Okay, so again, we put control measures. So mindset change is accepting that there are better ways of doing things. Yung mga nakaugalian natin, maaaring hindi na siya applicable ngayon. Ako din, yung parang dating nakagawian ko dati, maaaring hindi na rin siya applicable ngayon. Kasi nag-i-innovate tayo, nag-i-evolve. And then, accepting that individuals can make a difference. Of course, you can always make a difference. Accepting that an individual is important. And accepting that individuals can make a contribution. And that's what we need to do. Okay, so if things are done right the first time and every time, we have a safe operation, but also an efficient, productive, and cost-effective operation. Okay, so thank you everyone and thank you for listening. That ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shelly Talastas, for the safety reminders in our workplace. And to continue our program, different working areas have different working hazards that each and every one of us can encounter. Now, to expound the topic on biological hazard, we give the floor to our second speaker. He took up Bachelor of Science in Nursing in Southern Iloilo Polytechnic College, his Master of Arts in Nursing at Our Lady of Fatima University, and with ongoing Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing. Currently, the Vice President of ORNAP, and currently the Chief Nurse of Fatima University Medical Center, Valenzuela. Our very own Mr. Gabriel Naing, Man RN.
Good morning, everyone, or good day, everyone. So we will be discussing about biological hazards. So before we proceed with the definition of your biological hazards, alamin ho muna natin ano po yung mga environment that considered hazardous. So hazardous workplaces are where there is ionizing radiation, chemicals, fire, flammable substances, or noxious components, and the like. Number two, where workers are engaged in construction work, logging fire, fighting, mining, quarrying, blasting, stevedoring, ductwork, deep sea fishing, and mechanized farming. Number three, where workers are engaged in the manufacture or handling of explosives and other pyrotechnic products. So malapit na po yung Christmas. So dito po included ang hazardous workplace. Then, where workers use or are exposed to power-driven or explosive powder-actuated tools. And number four, where the workers are exposed to biologic agents such as bacteria, fungi, vira, protozoas, nematodes, and other parasites. So dito po included yung mga nagtatrabaho sa hospital, and this will be our focus of our discussion. So what is the definition of biological hazard? So according to the Occupational Safety and Health Standards as amended 1989, biological hazards, also known as biohazards, refer to biological substances that pose a threat to the health of living organisms, primarily that of humans. This can include samples of microorganisms, virus, or toxin that can affect human health. So, ang ibig po sabihin, ito po yung mga bakterya na pwedeng makatransmit ng mga sakit, okay, that poses a threat to the health living organisms. So, especially po tayo as human being. So, let's review the chain of infection. So, meaning, kailan nagkakaroon ng infeksyon yung tao or we human being. So, una-una po, or one component in the chain is infectious agents. So, these are the examples of mga bacteria, mga fungi. Then, reservoir, meaning kung saan po tumitira or nakatira ang mga bacteria. So, example ng mga reservoir are your human beings, animals. So, yung mga fomites, example sa mga panyo. Okay? Then, portal of exit, saan po lumalabas ang mga bacteria. Then, mode of transmission, sa paano natin natatransmit or paano sila nakakahawa. Example of that is droplet precaution, airborne precaution, and bloodborne transmission, I mean. Then portal of entry, saan po sila pumapasok, and then the susceptible host. Ang susceptible host po, ito po yung mga immunocompromised na tao. Example, yung mga may cancer, yung mababa yung immune system. So these are the example of your susceptible host. So kahit saan mo dito sa chain na to, pwedeng makapasok o yung infection. Okay? So dapat intact itong chain of infection para wala pong makapasok na mga microorganisms or bacteria that will cause infection. Okay? So kung may break ng chain of infection, magkakaroon ho ng infection. So how are hospital personnel protected from infection? So again, as what I have said, focus po tayo doon sa biological hazards. So we're talking or we're focusing our discussion on the hospital personnel where we are working. So how are hospital personnel protected from infection? So gumawa po kami ng mnemonics. So para po mabilis matandaan, ito po ang word na infect. Okay? Infect. So tandaan po, infect. So Instill in our mind, patients are infectious and observe transmission-based precaution. Letter N, never compromise. Letter F, familiarize ourselves with those that can protect us. E, examine your self-resistance. C, communicate effectively. And T, teamwork. So we will discuss that one by one. So again, paano natin mapoprotektahan ang ating sarili from acquiring infection? So tandaan lang po ang word infect. Again, I, instill in our mind that all patients are infectious and observe transmission-based precaution and never compromise. F, familiarize ourselves with those that can protect us. E, examine your self-resistance. And C, communicate effectively. And T, teamwork. So let's start with letter I. So instilling in our minds that patients are infectious and we must be aware of the transmission-based precaution. So standard precaution is applicable to all patients regardless of the diagnosis. So example, pag dumating yung pasyente sa ER, so dapat we must practice standard-based precaution. Pag sinabing standard-based precaution, may suot na tayong mask, naghugas ng kamay. Okay, so yun po yung standard precaution. Regardless kung nurse ka, kung servo ka, kung engineering ka, okay, so this must be followed, standard precaution. So, may sinabi po kanina, TBP or transmission-based precaution. So ito po yung airborne precaution. Pag sinabing airborne precaution po, nakukuha po yan sa hangin. Okay? So these can be spread by droplet, less than micron, 5 micron, that remain infectious and suspended in air for a long period of time over long distance. So example ng mga sakit na yan is measles, chickenpox, and herpes zosters and SARS. So kailangan po natin magsuot ng N95 because that's airborne precaution or mask for that matter. Then bloodborne precaution, measures to handle needles and other sharp devices in a manner that will prevent injury to the user and to the others who may be encounter the device during or after the procedures. Example ng mga sakit na pwedeng makuha sa bloodborne are HIV/AIDS, hepatitis B and C. Okay, so dapat yung mga naglilinis, so be careful with the needles. Okay, so tingnan, wag munang hawakan, lalo na sa mga servo natin, wag hawakan. Instead, may mga ginagamit silang mga parang kahoy, pang pipi, okay, pang pipi ng mga basura. Okay, so on part of the nurses, so please throw your needles or sharps in the proper container. Meron naman po tayong available, okay? And then, huwag gawing Christmas tree or sanga-sanga, puno na po ang mga lagayan natin, hindi pa tinatapon. So dapat tinatapon yan, 3/4 dapat na puno na, itatapon na natin yan. So kindly coordinate with the Infection Control Committee para mabigyan po kayo ng panlagyan ng or container specific for needles or sharps. Then contact precaution. So spread by direct or indirect contact with the patient or patient environment, presence of excessive wound drainage, fecal incontinence, or other discharges from the body. Example, mga MRSA o methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, E. coli, and impetigo, lice, wound infections, hepatitis A, and conjunctivitis or sore eyes. So dapat laging ugaliing maghugas ng kamay. Dito pwedeng magsuot tayo ng gloves, okay, or disposable gowns para po ma-protect. Remember, it's contact precaution. Not only that, okay, so dapat yung mga pintuan, example, mga frequently touched items ng mga pasyente, example, doorknob ng CR, beds. So yun usually dapat nililinis rin ng natin para at least to prevent contamination or to prevent the spread of your microorganisms by direct contact. Okay. Then Another transmission-based precaution, droplets. So infectious organisms spread by droplets more than 5 microns through close respiratory or mucous membranes contact, through coughing, sneezing, talking, or droplet or induced procedures. So example, diphtheria, influenza, bacterial meningitis, mumps, or pag sinabing COVID-19, so classified as droplet precaution. Pero ang COVID-19, pag may AGP sinasabi or aerosolized generating procedures, like example, intubation, pinapaubo yung pasyente, so droplet po yun. Pero pag suctioning, intubation, it's part of airborne precaution. So dapat dito magsusuot sila ng mask, okay, or face shield for that matter para ma-prevent yung infection. Okay? So, or gowns for that matter. So, pag COVID-19, di ba, naka level 4 or level 3 PPE sila. So, it depends upon the leveling of our PPE. Then, let's proceed to letter N, never compromise. So we must adhere to existing policies, be compliant at all times, and be an advocate of infection control practices. So, adherence to existing policies. Okay, so meron tayong mga policies in place. So all we need to do is to follow it wholeheartedly. Okay, so pag hindi natin kabisado, we can ask questions or we can ask clarifications. Example sa Infection Control Committee para po at least mag-guide tayo doon sa mga policies and guidelines. And then, kailangan ho natin sumunod again with the existing policies and guidelines kasi at the end of the day, tayo rin naman mahihirapan. And remember, may mga family tayo that we need to protect. Okay, so kasi kung hindi natin nasusunod yung mga dapat pinapa-implement, pati sila ho magiging affected, not only our family members, but also our co-workers. So we must adhere and comply at all times. Then be an advocate of infection control practices. So meaning, dapat tayo magiging pulis sa isa't isa. And then, isipin na lang ho natin na we're protecting our family, ourselves, and our colleagues in spreading or in acquiring infection. Thus, we need to follow the infection control practices para po at least ma-prevent natin ang pag-spread ng infection. So, being a healthcare provider, regardless of your professions, pag nagtatrabaho ka sa hospital, maybe engineering, servo, etc., dietitian, clerk, dapat in ourselves, dapat tayo ang magiging model para po hindi na makalat yung mga infection. Okay? So next, letter F, familiarize with what prevents infection. So ito po ang mga PPE na kailangan natin alamin or personal protective equipment. So unang-una po, the basic one is hugas ng kamay, okay, or hand hygiene. So before aseptic technique or before patient contact, before aseptic task, and then after patient contact, bago natin mahawakan si pasyente or any part, bed, example, doorknob. Then after body fluid exposure risk, okay, example, nag-a-assist ka sa pasyente. And then after contact with patient surroundings po. Okay, so number one again, before patient contact, before aseptic task, after body fluid exposure risk, after patient contact, and then after contact with patient surroundings. So paglabas ng kwarto ng pasyente, dapat maghugas tayo or mag-alcohol. Then your gown, ito po, okay, so again, kailangan din natin ito na isuot, for example, to contact precaution, and then your droplet precautions. So then your mask, in goggles, Okay, so kailangan natin to for droplet, then gloves, then N95 for airborne precaution, and ito po, these are the sharp containers, okay, to prevent bloodborne infection. So as a reminder, all forms of PPE serve only one purpose. They are barriers between sources of contamination and the patient or personnel. The standards of PPE must never yield to individual comfort or fashion trends. Okay, so tandaan po yan. May mga nurses tayo or not even nurses, but ibang mga hospital personnel na yung mask nilalagay dito sa arms or yung mask nakalugay dito sa dibdib or yung face shield nakalagay sa ulo. Okay? So again, dapat our PPE serves only one purpose. They are barriers between sources of contamination and the patient or personnel. So dapat gamitin ho natin according to use ng PPE po natin for us to be protected, and also our patients will be protected and our family members. So letter A, airborne precautions. So excuse me, ito po ang nilalagay natin sa labas ng patient's room. Okay, for us to be aware kung ano po ang transmission-based precaution na gagawin ng lahat ng pumapasok sa loob ng kwarto ng pasyente. Okay, so para pag nakita ng servo or engineering, letter A pala ito. So ano kailangan nilang gawin? So maglinis ng kamay or wash hands when entering and leaving the room. Then doctors and staff must wear fitted N95 mask prior to entering the room. Then, airborne infection prevention room required. Example, negative pressure or keep door closed. So, dapat wag bubuksan kasi example of your airborne is mga PTB patients or may TB. So, that's considered airborne infection. So, dapat nakasarado lagi ang pintuan para hindi kakalat sa hallway. And then, N95. So, try to approach the nurse's station kung hindi po tayo kabisado, lalo na po yung mga non-medical staff na papasok sa patient's room. Then, letter C, contact precaution po ito pag nakikita natin sa labas ng patient's room. So, anong gagawin? So, as you notice, pinakauna ho lagi yung clean hands before and leaving the patient's room. So, ang dapat suot natin is gown and gloves. Then, use patient-dedicated or disposable equipment. Clean and disinfect shared equipment. So, dapat ito po ang magsuot tayo ng gown and gloves pag nakita natin contact precaution. Okay? Then, letter D. Okay? So, droplet precaution po ito. So, again, maghugas ng kamay bago at saka pagkatapos punta sa patients. Then, magsuot ng mask. Okay? So, regular mask will do, surgical mask. Then, doctors and staff, if contact with the secretions likely, use gown, glove, and eye cover. So, ito po ang precaution natin pag droplet precaution. Okay? Or face shield. Then R, pag sinabing R, it's reverse isolation. So, sino po pinoprotektahan natin pag letter R? So, pinoprotektahan po natin yung pasyente because immunocompromised si patient because of maybe cancer patient po siya. Okay, so or may undergoing chemotherapy. Okay, so or autoimmune system na masakit. So, pinoprotektahan natin yung pasyente. Okay, no person with infection may enter. Okay, kasi remember, pinoprotektahan natin yung pasyente. So, dapat ang lahat ng pumapasok is walang ubo, walang sipon para hindi mahawa yung pasyente. Keep door closed, then wash hands again before and after, then follow standard precautions. Wala pong flowers, fresh fruits, or vegetables. So, it depends upon the recommendations of our attending physician. So no flowers, minsan kasi allergic sila. Okay? Then wag rin yung mga pets. Okay? Bawal din po. Actually bawal sa hospitals. Then gown and gloves when entering the room. Then doctors and staff must use mask, gown, and gloves must be worn. Then use patient-dedicated or disposable equipment. So tandaan, pag letter R, nakita po ninyo sa labas ng patient's room, meaning reverse isolation, pinoprotektahan po natin yung pasyente. Okay? Kasi nung una, yung contact, airborne, and droplet precaution, ang pinoprotektahan mo natin yung healthcare provider or any staff that enters in the patient's room. Pero pag letter R, baliktad, pinoprotektahan mo natin yung pasyente. Okay. So, next, I will be presenting the memo or memoranda issued by the hospitals in protecting or in response to infection prevention and control measures. Okay, so ito environmental culture in swabbing of critical area. So nag-i-swab po tayo para at least makita natin sa swabbing, nakikita ho natin yung mga bacteria present kung meron o wala, para at least alam natin na yung proper actions to be taken para hindi po makahawa sa pasyente at saka sa healthcare workers. Then, ito po, transmission-based precaution. That's why meron po tayo sa labas ng patient's room yung ABC at saka R na nakikita ho natin. Then, gumawa rin ng admitting slip, okay, for us to be aware. Example, sa admitting slip na yan, nakikita ninyo yun sa chart, i-check po ito ng residente. It's either the standard precaution, airborne, contact, droplet, reverse, and bloodborne precaution. Para po pag-akyat ng pasyente sa ward, alam po ng mga healthcare workers yung transmission-based precaution. Then, ito po yung guidelines for treatment of pathogenic isolate identified through nasal swab. Okay, so then letter E, let's proceed to letter E, examine self-resistance. So check natin kung ano po, aside po doon sa PPE na kailangan natin gawin, let's examine also ourselves for how resistant are we so in acquiring infections. So may vaccine na ba tayo? Example, flu vaccine. And then COVID-19 vaccine. Okay, so let's check for that. Not only ourselves, but our family members. Then, boosting our immune system. So, dapat matulog ng maaga, take vitamins, eat vegetables and fruits to boost our immune system. Then, exercise regularly po. Then, have your maintenance na iniinom po regularly. Then APE po. So let's be thankful to the administration because of the free APE po, laboratory exams during our birthday. So i-grab po natin yon para at least we can do about our health. Example, pag nakita mataas ang cholesterol, so magbibigay na po or we can take anti-cholesterol medications. If mababa yung, if we need some another diagnostic test to rule out our specific diseases. So mas maganda po yun para at least maagapan natin. Okay, so please comply with the APE po. Then letter C, importante ho ito, communicate effectively. Okay, so kung may nakikita ho tayo, okay, na mga or we need to report yung mga incident related to infection control events. Example, may needle stick injury. Okay? So dapat ma-report po natin 'yon. Okay? Kasi gagawa ng investigation. So kung may airborne precaution, so ganun din, droplet, bloodborne. So and then kung may nakikita ho tayong deviation from our co-employees, try to approach them. Okay, communicate them effectively para at least makorek. Remember, we're a team. So we need to strengthen that kasi para at least nagtutulong-tulungan ho tayo para at least we can maintain a safe and infection-free hospital. Okay po. So remember, this is our second home, so we need to collaborate, we need to communicate po, each and every one of us, para makatulong po tayo sa isa't isa. Then, letter T, teamwork, to be totally free from infection. Hindi lang po ito work ng administration, hindi lang po ito work ni infection control team, hindi lang po ito work ni NSO or the medical director's office. It's you, I, and we working together towards an infection-free environment. So kailangan ho namin ng tulong ng isa't isa. Hindi po natin kakayanin to, hindi namin kakayanin to, or hindi kakayanin ng Infection Control Committee ito. Okay, so we need to work together para po magiging effective ang mga ang policies, kailangan natin mag-comply. Okay? So every one of us is vital in maintaining free infection environment. With that, maraming salamat po and have a nice day to all.
Thank you, Mr. Gabriel Knight, for that very informative discussion. As we approach the final topic of discussion, we would like to ask for your active listening for our topic is significantly for hazardous waste management in a healthcare facility, and this concerned most of us. For our last topic, we would like to welcome a former assistant manager at Philippine Bank National Bank, a construction manager at New World Projects Dubai, also a former building and interior design works manager at New World Makati, and currently the engineering manager at Fatima University Medical Center, Valenzuela. Let us all welcome Engineer Antonio Alvar.
Good day. I am Engineer Antonio Alvar, and today I'm going to talk about an introduction to hazardous waste management in healthcare facility setting, the medical waste solution. So I will discuss the definition of terms, the storage considerations, the waste treatment and disposal systems. At the end of this talk, should be able to define common terminologies that are being used in hazardous waste management, identify the hazards of infectious or medical waste, cite basic safety procedures in handling medical waste. So these are the landmark environmental laws. So in 1978, the environmental impact statement, which is covered under PD 1586. This was the time of the former President Marcos. Then in 1990, during the time of President Cory Aquino, the Toxic Substances and Hazardous Waste Control Act under RA 6969. And in 1999, under the presidency of President Joseph Estrada, we had the Clean Air Act under Republic Act 8749, as well as in year 2000, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act under Republic Act 9003. Then in 2004, we have under the presidency of then the President Gloria Aquino, we have the Clean Water Act and the Republic Act 9275. So these are the estimated solid waste generated in the Philippines. as you can see, uh, in terms of percentage, the National Capital Region, we have a total waste generated of around 23.70%. These data are way back 2010, but still, I think the NCR still has the biggest solid waste generation in the Philippines. In the whole Philippines, we have the average of 28.875 metric tons per day. So what are non-hazardous waste? What are hazardous waste? By definition, non-hazardous waste are waste which relatively has lower impact to the environment. Examples are domestic waste coming from the septic wastewater, kitchen leftovers. The implementing agency is the National Solid Waste Management Commission. Transport, these are relatively less than hazardous waste and less regulated. So the DNR does not require a permit of transport for this type of waste. For the hazardous waste, by definition, these are waste which present unreasonable risk and or injury to health and safety to the people or to the environment. Example are mining waste, doctor medical waste, waste coming from grease traps. These are further categorized into A to M, the coming slides. For the implementing agency is the Environmental Management Bureau. This is also under the DNR. The transport, because this is highly regulated, you need to get a permit to transport before hauling. So 90% of all wastewater in the Philippines is discharged directly into bodies of water without fire treatment. So yan ang katotohanan. 60% of the pollution load in Pasig River and Laguna Bay are coming from septic tank effluents and domestic wastewater discharges. That's why we need to have an STP or the sewage treatment plants. Then less than 8% of the households in Metro Manila have sewer connections. That's, I think, unti-unti nang inaayos to. In our area in Valenzuela, Maynila does, I think, initially provided the groundworks for a centralized sewage collection system. So these are the classification of hazardous waste. So they are categorized under that number. So we have the plating waste. So, madami po ito. Example, discarded plating solutions and sourced with a cyanide concentration of less than 200 ppm. That's A101. So we go next. So we have the acid waste. Examples are sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, phosphoric acid, hydrofluoric acid, mixture of sulfuric and hydrochloric acid, other inorganic acids, organic acids, other mixed acids. So they are categorized under these letters and numbers: B201, 222, 223, 204, so forth and so on. Then we have the alkali waste. Samples are caustic soda, potash, alkaline cleaners, which are categorized under C series, that's C301, 302, 303, 304, so forth. Then we have the inorganic chemical waste. These are non-toxic salts Arsenic acid compounds, boron, cadmium and its compound, etc. Categorized under letter D, 401, 402, so forth and so on. Madami po ito. 499 po yan. Next, we have the reactive chemical waste, or E. So, E is 501. Examples are oxidizing agents, reducing agents, explosive and unstable chemicals, highly reactive chemicals. So next we have the inks, like solvents base, that's F601, the pigments, the paints, resins, latex, adhesives, organics, and sludge. Categorized under F, starting with 601 up to 699. Then we have the waste organic. These are halogenated organic solvents under G series categorization. Solvents, non-halogenated organic solvents. Then we have the organic waste. These are waste coming from grease-trap waste from industrial or commercial premises. Restaurants, for example. Categorized under H. This one is H802. Used or waste oil. So these are industrial oil, including sludge, vegetable oil, including sludge, tallow, oil, contaminated materials. Under I series, so this is I101, 102, 103, 104. Likewise, containers, yung mga gamit na container, portable containers previously containing toxic chemicals, is categorized under J201. Immobilized waste. These are solidified and polymerized waste, chemically fixed wastes, and encapsulated wastes. Categorized under key 301, 302, 303. Then we have the organic chemicals. These are waste with specific halogenated toxic chemicals under L, so called L401, 402, 403, 404. So waste with specific toxic non-halogenated chemicals, ozone depleting substances, and polychlorinated biphenyl waste, PCB. And for M, we have the miscellaneous waste. So we have the pathogenic or infectious waste. Ito yung inaano natin, pinapakuha kay Clean Way, yung M501. Then we have the asbestos waste in 502. Also, itong pharmaceuticals and drugs in 503, when we po ang kumukuha niya. Pesticides, persistent organic pollutants waste, 505. Waste, electrical and electronic equipment, so wala in 506, medyo wala kasi ano po binibenta ito niya recycle. Special waste. May mga nagkatayos pa ng mga ano yan, mga electrical electronic equipment. So, these hazardous waste are categorized into hazardous healthcare waste categories. Namely, so start at the top, we have the chemical waste, so lab reagents, disinfectant solvents, the pathological waste, lead and other fluids, the pressurized containers, gas cylinders, cartridges, and aerosol cans, infectious waste, lab cultures, waste from isolation wires, etc. Pharmaceutical waste, expired medicine and other pharmaceuticals, waste with high heavy metal content, broken thermometers, pressure gauges, genotoxic waste, these are cytotoxic drugs, genotoxic chemicals, sharps, which are needles, explosive sets, scalpels, knives, blades. So definition of terms, waste generators. So any facility, institution, business establishment with activities or work processes that generate waste. So tayo ay considered as generator also. Transporters. I think this is the right person or entity licensed by the DNR, Environmental Management Bureau, to convey hazardous waste through air, water, or land. Treatment, storage, and disposal facilities. These are facilities where hazardous waste are stored, treated, recycled, reprocessed, and or disposed of as prescribed under DNR Administrative Order Number 2004-36, Chapter 6 to 2 categories of TSD facilities. In our case, we have Clean Way Industrial Management Solution. So this is the medical waste solution. So Clean Way, these are our treaters. We cover the services such as collection, disinfection, transportation, storage, treatment, and disposal of infectious waste. So coming from a hospital, picture, it goes to on-site by determination or dun sa dump site natin. Then Cleanway will transport our waste. Disinfection, we have the disinfection of bins. We have the certificate of treatment. Then, so waste generated from hospitals to on-site by determination, transportation of waste, disinfection of bins, then goes to proper storage, right, treatment, the treatment of waste. We have the autoclave, the post-treatment, which is shredding, then the secure landfill disposal, and the certificate of treatment. So that's just the process. So waste segregation is a key. So careful segregation and separate collection of hospital waste is the key to safe, sound management of healthcare waste. Segregation can substantially reduce the quantity of healthcare waste that requires specialized treatment. As you can see in the picture, is the less preferable, so dispose it, treat it, recover, recycle, reuse, reduce, prevent. That is the most preferable, the upper portion. So these are also a categorization by color for the type of waste. So the color of container or bag, it is black, so those are non-infectious dry waste. The green is a non-infectious waste from kitchen, dietary, etc. Yellow is an infectious and pathological waste. This is M501. Yellow and black with black band. So chemical waste, including those with heavy metals. Orange, you have the radioactive waste, and red, the shards and pressurized containers. So special reminders in waste segregation. One, the use of appropriate personal protective equipment. Staff should never attempt to correct errors or segregation by removing items from a bag or container after disposal. If general and hazardous waste are accidentally mixed, the mixture should be classified as hazardous healthcare waste. So this is waste handling, collection, storage, and transport. Under the DOS Healthcare Waste Manual, all healthcare waste should be collected and stored in waste storage area after transported to a designated offsite treatment facility. The area should be marked with warning sign. Kita yung sa Heart Center, but we have also our own at the dump site area, parking. It should be marked with caution, biohazardous storage area, and authorized persons to be found. So these are the requirements for storage facilities. Area should have an impermeable, hard-standing floor with good drainage. It should be easy to clean and disinfect. There should be water supply for cleaning purposes. Areas should allow easy access to staff. It should have provisions for locks to prevent access by authorized persons. Easy access for waste collection vehicle is essential. And there should be protection from sun, rains, winds, clouds, etc. We have all these. Then it should be inaccessible to animals, insects, and birds. There should be a good lighting and adequate ventilation. Storage areas should not be situated in the proximity of fresh food stores or food preparation areas. The supply of cleaning equipment, PPE, waste bags, or containers should be located conveniently close to the storage areas. Floors, walls, ceilings must be kept clean. Biodegradable, general, and hazardous waste should not be stored too much longer. Otherwise, application or treatment like chemical disinfection, duration at 40 degrees Celsius or lower is recommended. So collection and transport. So this is the recommendation for the handling and collection. So waste should be collected regularly. In our case, this is twice a week, or sometimes 4 times or 3 times a week. No bags should be removed unless they are labeled with their point of production. The bags or containers should be replaced immediately with new ones at the same time. A supply of fresh bags or containers should be available readily. Collection practice active solid reactive waste shall consist of distributing orange color coded suitable containers with the radiation symbol colored magenta or black. Handling, collection, transport, and disposal of these materials shall be based on the guidelines issued by PNRI. So collection and transport. So in our case, we have the Clean Way Technological Corporation. So transportation vehicles should be registered in the TRC, easy to load and unload, no sharp edges that could damage waste bags or containers during loading and unloading, easy to clean. So waste treatment system, treatment technologies and processes. One, we have the thermal processes, we have the hydroclave, autoclave, pyrolysis, microwave. In our case, we have, I think they're using hydroclave and autoclave. Two, we have the chemical disinfection. Three, we have the biological processes. Four, we have the radiation technology. And five is encapsulation. So waste disposal systems. So we have the sanitary landfill and the septic concrete. I think clean waste using sanitary landfill. They have their sanitary landfill in Cavite. Kanina, naulit siya. So, medical waste solution. So, PPE, this is our last line of defense. So, what are those? Hard hat, goggles, respirator, safety suit, gloves, boots, etc. This is an example of the transporter registration. So, in the case of Clean Way, so the name and address of transporter, the transporter registration certificate, a lot type of hazardous waste to be transported as per DNR policy, and the policy only DNR registered vehicles included. The TRC are only allowed to transport hazardous waste. So for them, same the PSD registration certificate, sample, and as a general reminder, following safety procedures is a commitment. Safety protocols should not be taken for granted. Sinabi ni Senator Mian before, taken ka nga. Ulitin naman. So be like Paul. This is Bill. So Bill segregates waste properly. Bill follows safety protocols all the time because he understands that his safety is the safety of his family too. Bill loves his family so much. Bill is responsible and smart. Be like Bill. Sabi nila. So that's all. And thank you very much for your time. Have a good day again.
Thank you, Engineer Antonio Alvar, for that detailed discussion. As we approach the final or the end of this webinar, we are hoping that everyone learned a lot for their safety and health. We are now open to check the chat box to accommodate any questions. We are asking and requesting everyone to please open their camera for a photo and attendance. Again, we are thanking everyone for attending our occupational safety and health training. We are hoping that everyone learned a lot today. So please, may I request everyone to answer our post-webinar evaluation as shown on the screen. We hope that the things we learned today will be put into practice to maintain a safe and healthy working environment for everyone. Again, this is Irish Manson Ramasa thanking you for your presence and hoping for a great day ahead for everyone. For the evaluation link, please use your Fatima email accounts. For certificates will be automatically sent into your emails. Thank you and have a great day.